Good day all, and welcome to another one of my Blu-ray review videos. Today we are looking at 3 movies from Stanley Kubrick. Welcome back. So, to begin with, 2001: A Space Odyssey. From 1968, yes, at the time, well actually I don't guess, I know at the time, this was revolutionary. Probably in terms of effects, up to that point, probably the most advanced movie ever made. Even today, although it is dated somewhat, especially when you look at costumes and stuff like that, it is still fairly impressive to watch. Now, the only problem with this particular movie that some people might not appreciate, I know a lot of people don't appreciate, is the fact that the story is rather thin. Although I think it's pretty much what it was intended to be. It's almost like what I would call visual artwork. Now, one thing that I will say about this Blu-ray release is that it is probably one of the best transfers I've seen since I began collecting Blu-ray. And this is also one of the best packages for special features. It's actually pretty impressive with the degree to which they go into the history of the making of this movie. You'll learn a lot about Stanley Kubrick, some about how it was received at the time. But really, this is a movie that's timeless, and I've watched it, I don't know, many times in the last 25 years. I've actually had this on beta, VHS. Never had it on DVD, but then got it on Blu-ray. Then Kubrick's next masterpiece, A Clockwork Orange. From 1971, this movie, even now, is shocking in terms of its graphic content, especially with the first half hour or so of the movie. In fact, some of what is on here probably wouldn't even be allowed in current movies. In fact, it was so controversial, and it was blamed for some deaths and murders and whatnot, that Kubrick actually pulled it out of theaters in the UK, and it wasn't seen again until after his death, just a little over 10 years ago. Part of what makes this story is or makes this movie is the performance of Malcolm McDowell, as well. The original author of this, Anthony Burgess, who primarily known as an absurdist author. In fact, the original book, A Clockwork Orange, is often taught in university courses. In fact, in one university course I took during my undergrad, called the Modern Absurdist Novel, this was one of the books on the reading list. And once again, in terms of the DVD transfer, I've actually been impressed with all of Kubrick's movies as well. Just like 2001: A Space Odyssey, an impressive list of special features. It actually also includes a biography on Malcolm McDowell, which is pretty cool. So, not necessarily for the faint of heart. A lot of people will probably be offended by this movie if they haven't seen it. The first time I saw it, which was maybe about 10 years ago, actually even I found it somewhat shocking. And it's really in the kind of unique way this movie was shot. And unlike what we see with a lot of current movies, Kubrick's work really shows, I guess you could say, what comes of it when someone who really is a film artist, not necessarily in it for the money, makes a movie. And actually, with Clockwork Orange, it was a low-budget movie, and Kubrick actually deliberately wanted to make a low-budget movie just so he could prove that he could do it. So there you go, A Clockwork Orange. And The Shining, kind of equally known as a Kubrick and a Stephen King movie. And out of all the Stephen King adaptations, this is probably the best known, and I'd say definitely the best out of all the Stephen King movies, although his are really touch and go. He's had some amazing movies, and he's had some that are just plain awful. I think a lot of people would actually probably tie this with Misery as Stephen King's best movies. But this is Kubrick's own interpretation of this. And actually, when Kubrick got the rights to make the Shining movie, there was a clause in the contract that gave him liberty to change it. And there are a lot of differences between Stephen King's novel and what is eventually shows up in the movie. A lot of sort of the supernatural stuff has been toned down, and it's more psychic remnants, and or however we want to put it. And also in terms of a horror movie, in terms of shooting, this is probably, to date, probably one of the most originally shot movies I've ever seen. Kubrick was never afraid to play around with new ideas and whatnot and ways of shooting things. And it shows in this, and especially the performances he gets out of his actors. What Kubrick would often do, and especially in this movie, is he would do take after take after take, and often it's probably the 20th or 30th take that ends up on the movie. And what he does, or why he does that, is to build up the tension, which suits a movie like this. And of course, Jack Nicholson as sort of the star brand behind this definitely helped. But anyways, that's so definitely 3 Blu-rays I would definitely recommend checking out. And once again, fairly decent array of special features. And of course, there are other Kubrick movies that I would love to get. And when I do, I will do a video on those. But as usual, thanks everyone for watching, and I will see y'all soon.